jai, Shri Gauriya Guru Vaishnavarga ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Tukoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 14. Namo namaste svashrishbhaya satvatam. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyati Tishayena radhasa, nirasta samyat tishayena radhasa, swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha, swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam, namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Namo namaste stvarishabhaya satvatam. Vidurakashthaya muhuku yoginam. Nirasta samyatishayena radhasa. Swadhamani brahmani ramsyate namaha. Word for word. Namaha namaha te. Let me offer my obeisances unto you. Astu. Ah. Rishabhaya. Unto the great associate. Satvatam. Of the members of the Yadu dynasty. Vidura Kashtaya, one who is very far from mundane wranglers. Muhu, always. Ku Yoginam, of the non-devotees. Nirasta, vanquished. Samya, equal status. Atishayena, by greatness. Radhasa, by opulence. Swadhamani, in his abode. Brahmani, in the spiritual sky. Rasyate, enjoys. Namaha, I do bow down. Translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto he who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is a supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. There are two sides of the transcendental manifestation of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. For the pure devotees, he is the constant companion, as in the case of his becoming one of the family members of the Yadu dynasty, or his becoming the friend of Arjuna, or his becoming the associate neighbor of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, as the son of Nanda Jashoda, the friend of Sudama, Sridama, and Madhumango, or the lover of the damsels of Rajabhumi, etc. That is part of his personal features. And by his impersonal feature, he expands the rays of the Brahma Jyoti, which is limitless and all-pervasive. Part of this all-pervasive Brahma Jyoti, which is compared to the sun rays, is covered by the darkness of the Mahatattva, and its insignificant part is known as the material world. In this material world, there are innumerable universes like the one we can experience, and in each of them there are hundreds of thousands of planets like the one we are inhabiting. The mundanes are more or less captivated by the unlimited expansion of the rays of the Lord, but the devotees are concerned more with his personal form, from which everything is emanating, janmadyasya yataha. As the sun rays are concentrated in the sun disk, the Brahma Jyoti is concentrated in Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. The immeasurable spiritual sky is full of spiritual planets, namely Vaikunthas, far beyond the material sky. The mundanes have insufficient information of even the mundane sky, so what can they think of the spiritual sky? Therefore, the mundanes are always far, far away from him. Even if in the future they are able to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the velocity of the wind or mind, the mundanes will still be unable to imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. So the Lord and his residential abode will always remain a myth or a mysterious problem, but for the devotees, the Lord will always be available as an associate. In the spiritual sky, his opulence is immeasurable. The Lord resides in all the spiritual planets, the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, by expanding his plenary portions along with his liberated devotee associates. But the impersonalists who want to merge in the existence of the Lord are allowed to merge as one of the spiritual sparks of the Brahma Jyoti. They have no qualifications for becoming associates of the Lord either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the supreme planet, Goloka Vrindavan, described in the Bhagavad Gita as Madhama, and here in this verse as the Swadhama of the Lord. This Madhama or Swadhama is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 6, as follows. Natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. The Lord Swadhama does not require any sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination. That Dhamma or place is supreme, and whoever goes there never comes back to this material world. The Vaikuntha planets and Goloka Vrindavan planet are all self-illuminating, and the rays scattered by those Swadhama of the Lord constitute the existence of the Brahma Jyoti. As further confirmed in the Vedas like the Mundaka 2.2.10, Katha 2.2.15, and Shvetashvatar Upanishads 6.14, Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yam agnihi Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. In the Swadharma of the Lord, there is no need of sun, moon, or stars for illumination, nor is there need of electricity, so what to speak of ignited lamps? On the other hand, it is because those planets are self-illuminating that all effulgence has become possible, and whatever there is that is dazzling is due to the reflection of that Swadharma. One who is dazzled by the effulgence of the impersonal Brahma-jyoti cannot know the personal transcendence. Therefore, in the Ishopanishad, it is prayed that the Lord shift his dazzling effulgence so the devotee can see the real reality. It is spoken thus, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukum tattvam pushanna pavrinu satya dharmaya drishtyaye. O Lord, you are the maintainer of everything, both material and spiritual, and everything flourishes by your mercy. Your devotional service, or bhakti yoga, is the actual principle of religion, satya dharma, and I am engaged in that service. So kindly protect me by showing your real face. Please, therefore, remove the veil of your Brahma-jyoti rays so that I can see your form of eternal bliss and knowledge. And again the translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto he who is the associate of the members of the Yadu dynasty, and who is always a problem for the non-devotees. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunatan Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvishe Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, yep. As we saw, today we've read from text 14 and we've seen again a wonderful prayer. The prayers offered in Bhagavatam are always very sweet and and are very nice to read because they allow us to see how Krishna is Uttama Shloka, he who is glorified with the utmost words of praise. And of course, Srimad Bhagavatam itself is Grantha Raja. It is the greatest of all books. It is the literary incarnation of Krishna himself. And so, if we are finding these shlokas that are glorifying Uttama Shloka in the Grantha Raj, the king of all books, then this is a very sweet thing. So we get to see how the literary incarnation of Krishna himself glorifies that supreme person. And he is glorified in many ways. And in this text here, we find particularly a glorification of Krishna in two aspects. mainly. Oh, well, three aspects, sorry. So the first one is the way he relates with devotees and non-devotees. This is his glory, the favor he shows to his non-devotees, and the favor that he shows to his devotees. Of course, those are manifested differently, because as we know, Krishna says, Ye yata mam prapadyante, that famous text in Bhagavad Gita. However, that favor is shown in him being a problem which of course is liberation giving. And then we have the second aspect, that he is being glorified of. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds. He enjoys, so it's his relation with the dham, with the realm. And in one sense, every realm is his realm, which is why he is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds. However, yet he enjoys his own abode in the spiritual sky. Yet, so there is an emphasis on him having his own domain in the spiritual realm. And then lastly, there is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. As we know, Krishna is such an unlimited ocean of transcendental, wonderful qualities. We list 64 qualities, but I remember listening in a class by His Grace, Keshavananda Prabhu. He said, actually, the qualities of Krishna, his transcendental opulences, they are unlimited. We merely list these 64, well, not merely, we list these 64 for philosophical purposes, but practically, who can begin to list the unlimited and wondrous glories of Bhagavan? So these are the three that are being used to glorify. And firstly, we find the mention of the pure devotees and, of course, then the non-devotees. And we just finished, and we know that Krishna, he is a great friend, in one sense, even to the non-devotees, even those who approach him with non-devotional sentiment. We know everyone that Krishna kills is obtaining liberation. This is a very wondrous thing. And in fact, this is an almost unique form of mercy, or a unique behavior of Krishna himself. We don't find so often that the avatars or other forms of Krishna are giving liberation merely by killing. To kill and give liberation is almost always done by Krishna. One may say, well, we just had Nrsimha Chaturdasi, and we heard that Hiranyakashipu, as we know, Prahlad Maharaj, he asked Nrsimhadev for, when Nrsimhadev asked him for a boon that he wants, any sort of blessing that he wants, Prahlad Maharaj asked for the liberation of his father. And Nrsimhadev clarified, well, that's nothing, that's already done. He has been killed by my hands. He has already obtained liberation. And it's a rather funny point, because of course we know Nrsimhadev, he sort of plays this game, because he says, I've appeared, normally people ask me for something, and the demigods would have been there as well, and they're the ones who are normally asking for things. But Prahlad Maharaj, being a very pure devotee, did not ask for anything. He merely asked for others. Here he personified the merciful aspects of the devotee. But as we know, he then asks for his father's well-being, and then Nrsimhadev says, no, it's all fine. Your father was killed by me. He has received liberation. But we know, of course, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are Jai and Vijay, and we know they must go through 3 births before they must actually obtain liberation. And then, of course, we know then they will go on to participate in Ram Leela. We have Ravana, and then finally they would appear in Krishna Leela, Shishupal. And at the point of Shishupal's death, that is when the liberation is finally occurring. So we see here that the commentary is, there are 2 aspects to this. Firstly, there is what I mentioned, that it is mainly Krishna who gives liberation. So even though that liberation was guaranteed maybe at the killing of Hiranyakashipu, it was, at the killing of Hiranyakashipu by Nrsimhadev, it was only efficaciously applied at the death of Shishupal by the hands of Krishna. The second aspect is, of course, that there needs to be an absorption in Krishna. That is the other reason why. Because if Nrsimhadev said these things, then why did Hiranyakashipu not immediately obtain liberation? Nrsimhadev has appeased Prahlad, but we do not see an immediate liberation for Hiranyakashipu. So the second reason why is his absorption in Krishna was not complete. When Hiranyakashipu saw Nrsimhadev, he was confused. What beast is this? He thought to be some sort of animal. He was not aware fully. He was not aware fully that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and therefore he could not be thinking of him and conscious of him at the time of death. And therefore, when he went into his next birth, and because he was too filled with the mode of passion, with his lust for kingly rule, to rule over all existence. Rajogun had filled his mind to such an extent he did not have he could not bring his mind to that platform. Then the lust of Ravana was so strong that he could not, and it was so fixated. As we know, when Shishupal himself receives liberation, it is not because of a positive sentiment. However, it is a negative sentiment centered towards Krishna. The sentiment of Hiranyakashipu, his lust, is centered towards the expansion of his worldly power, of his kingly rule. The lust then of Ravana was not centered towards Ram, and in a sense it wasn't centered towards Sita, but rather a shadowy, a copy, a clone, a false sort of a doppelganger that was taken away, as we know is clarified by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after his visit to Ramdas Vipra. But it was centered towards that, and therefore when he was killed by Ramchandra, he thought, oh, here is some man who is killing me. And therefore his meditation was not proper, it was not complete, neither in its fixation nor in its conception. So there's a twofold aspect to that. So in a sense there are three aspects to the final then liberation of Shishupal. So there's the three. There's firstly the absorption in Krishna, there's the direction of one's passions towards Krishna, and it is said, Rupa Goswami writes in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, that actually Shishupal was aware of the fact that he had been killed as Hiranyakashipu and as Ravana in previous births, and therefore that allowed his hatred to be intensified even more so. An interesting point. This is showing again the intensity and the importance of Krishna consciousness. It is a very, very valuable thing to cultivate. It was a long-term project for him to do so, even though, as Prabhupada mentions in his purports to the third canto, that the pastimes of Jai Vijay, they're the pastimes of the eternal associates of the Lord, and therefore they're not to be considered like the pastimes of well, people like me, conditioned souls. So they are demonstrating truths, and they are there to engage in the pastimes of the Lord. So manifesting those pastimes and displaying, in a sense, one of the purports of their pastimes is to show the glories of absorption in Krishna. They are in 3 lifetimes showing the difficulty, and therefore if there is difficulty in obtaining something, there is value in obtaining something. And then of course, as we know, I've mentioned before, Prabhupada, and we've all heard before, Prabhupada clarifies that this is an indirect glory of those devotees in Goloka, in Vrindavan, who are so nicely absorbed in Krishna with devotion, with bhakti. And as we know, as this text is glorifying, he is a constant companion to the pure devotees, which is a much nicer form of mercy than killing someone and then allowing them to receive some form of liberation. And interestingly enough, as rare as it is for other incarnations, some other incarnations do give liberation, but generally it is mainly Krishna. Even more rare are incarnations giving bhakti or giving devotion. We will rarely find them bestowing. It is normally Krishna and of course Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, who are giving devotion. However, we see in the Puranas there is mention of one avatar at the least who gives devotion, and that is Nrsimhadev. Again, this is reinforcing Nrsimhadev's platform as Bhakti Vigna Vinasana. He is, because he is given that special role as he who is removing obstacles in the Bhakti Marg, he himself bestows devotion onto Prahlad Maharaj, as we know, when he places his hand on his head. So these are interesting points regarding Krishna and his particular mercy in giving devotion to his devotees, and of course giving liberation to the non-devotees who he gives his mercy of killing to. And so in these many planets we are seeing there is a glorification of the very manyest types of relating to Krishna. Because these realms are, as is mentioned in Bhagavatam here, enjoyed by both, are both enjoyed, the material and spiritual realms, by Krishna. And that joy is everywhere. All of the material existence and all the spiritual existence is determined for Krishna's pleasure, not for us own. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was once discussing with a non-devotee the essence of brahmacharya especially in the context of sannyas, but the principle in general. And he said, actually, when the devotee sees a beautiful woman, it is not necessarily that he responds with revulsion, that he's revolted by this. Instead, he sees this beauty, even if it is material beauty, and he thinks this beauty is there for the pleasure of Krishna. It is there to be enjoyed by Krishna. Practically everything, forget about women, but everything that the devotee sees, and everything that the sannyasi of my mat, everything that they see and they think of as being purposed for the pleasure of Krishna. And in there, so there, everything, ramsyate, everything is enjoyed by Krishna. He is enjoying not only his own dham, but the material and spiritual worlds as well. And this is where we find a distinction between the impersonalist and the devotee. The impersonalist, functionally, has a somewhat similar relation to the material world, and will have a somewhat similar practice in relationship to the material world. They will have a sort of detachment to the material world, and they will have similar regulative principles, proper impersonalists at the least, whether they're Brahmavadis or Mayavadis. Of course, we'll find today a large amount of quote-unquote sannyasis who are eating fish and meat and all sorts of things. I remember in order to fulfill their bogus ideology of I've forgotten now the Sanskrit, but Prabhupada quotes it very often, of the poor man is Narayan on the street, which is of course such a blasphemy. How can the owner of all 6 opulences in full be the poor beggar on the street? But in order to fulfill this, there will be many mundane welfare missions done, treated as direct devotion by the very famous Mayavadi mission in the world. And I remember hearing actually that in their bookstores they'll actually sell how to develop chicken farms in order to farm eggs and things like that. So we can see there that their principles are not very strong. There's another story that Srila Prabhupada spoke to Umapati Maharaj. And he said once Srila Prabhupada was at the Kumbh Mela, and all the various sadhus, as we know, it's a great meeting of all these various renunciates and sannyasis and yogis and all types of transcendentalists and non-transcendentalists in the guise of transcendentalists appear at the Kumbh Mela. They congregate there. And when they were out in the water, a fish had come out of the water, and it had gone onto dry land, and it was dying, and it had died on dry land. And so there was this dead fish on the floor, and a few of these sannyasis were all huddled around, and they were all joking among each other. They were saying, "Hey, quick, call the Ramakrishna mission, there's a fish for them to eat." So call over the Ramakrishna mission sannyasis. They are there is another fish, because as we know, their sannyasis are allowed to eat fish because they are very fond of fish in the Bengal region, which is of course where that mission began. So there are genuine renunciates, and then there are not so genuine renunciates. But the genuine ones even the impersonalists will have a somewhat similar relation to the material world. They will say, I will not taste its pleasures. But forgetting even of the questions of joy, they will therefore enjoy nothing. The devotee will enjoy the transcendental opulence, the immeasurable transcendental opulence, which is why Krishna, no one is equal to him, which is the third aspect of the text. They will enjoy that fully. The devotee, forgetting enjoyment, is tasting an infinite enjoyment. Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murtihi. He is the perfect embodiment of unlimited rasa. Rasa Vaisaha. He is identified with exchanges, loving exchanges of rasa. Therefore, Krishna is such a great, in the personal aspect, as we see mentioned here in this text, is such a great source of joy. So the devotee will taste a lot of joy. They will abandon lesser and ephemeral joys of this world in order to taste the greater and substantial ones we read in the Chatur Shloki, which we will get to soon enough, that actually anything which is not related to Krishna is illusory. But actually, this does not mean that it is not real. It is actually reinforcing the point here that nothing actually has no relation to Krishna. Even the material world has a relation to Krishna, and that is that it is enjoyed by him, and of course that it is his energy. But anyways, so the devotee tastes all this unlimited rasa, and of course we are made for rasa, we are made for loving exchanges. Srila Prabhupada writes in one letter that if you are feeling feelings of loneliness, you must know that this is a symptom of your, not your lack of Krishna consciousness, but your forgetting Krishna. The forgetfulness of Krishna, which is the main cause of our existence in this material world. Such feelings of loneliness are symptomatic of that. Why? Because we are not tasting that rasa which we so deeply are made to taste, and which is mentioned in the first part of this purport here. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning all these various rasas. So, the devotee is tasting all these things, and the impersonalist is tasting nothing. They're like the fox. The logic of the sour grapes. It's the fox who tastes the sour grapes, and then he says, "Oh, I want none of this." They taste some grapes, and therefore they eat nothing at all. So the Mayavadi will taste, the impersonalist will taste the material world, and he'll say, "Oh, this is terrible, so I want nothing to do with it," and they'll just walk off and they'll stop eating altogether. But actually, in a sense, the material world is not a place of pure suffering. It is not even a place that is lacking joy. It is not actually the material world itself that is faulty. It is not actually the material world itself that is such a terrible place. It is merely the approach of being the enjoyer. It is merely the approach that the impersonalist who is dissatisfied with the material world and the devotee before he takes to the devotional path, it is that which is faulty. again coming to that text in the Chatur Shloki, it is illusory, it is not real, if it is to be considered not connected to Krishna, because ultimately it should all be connected to Krishna. Everything should be turned back onto onto Krishna. This whole material world can be enjoyed, actually, if it is to be understood to be enjoyed by Krishna. The problem is we are trying to enjoy something that is not made for our enjoyment. And there the frustration, the problem arises. The Mayavadi does not understand this. That's why they're ekadanda. In their sannyas orders, they take one staff, one danda, one stick, because everything is one. But what do the Vaishnavas take? They take the three dandi. They take three dandi sannyas. Actually, that's an interesting point. Srila Prabhupada, people often think that Srila Prabhupada's sannyas name was Bhakti Vedanta. In the same way we have Jayapataka Maharaj, or Devamrita Maharaj, or Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, or Ramai Maharaj. We have all these sannyasis, and their names are like Ramai would be the name of Ramai Swami, or so on and so forth. But and so people think that Srila Prabhupada's name is Bhakti Vedanta, and then Swami is a title. But actually, Srila Prabhupada was initiated into sannyas by Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Maharaj. And Bhakti Pragyana Keshava Maharaj followed the tradition of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur of naming sannyasis after the 108 sannyas names mentioned in the Gauriya Kantahara, which is a text of shlokas and Vedic Shastric references that was published by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this is a tradition that Srila Prabhupada chose not to continue, which is, of course, very bona fide. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his sannyas name was also not on that list. So it's more of a tradition rather than a hard and fast rule. But one of those names is Swami. So actually Srila Prabhupada's sannyas name is Swami. So in a sense, if we were to distill it down in the same way as like Jayapataka Maharaj or something, it would be Swami Maharaj. And Bhakti Vedanta is actually a title. Originally, Srila Prabhupada was given by his godbrother Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj the title Bhakti Siddhanta. And actually, you'll read on some early documents, if you see Srila Prabhupada would sign them, Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhakti Siddhanta Abhaya Charanaravinda Adhikari. But however, there was a bit of a dispute. People would say, some of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers were saying, while we respect and acknowledge the great work and advancement of Abhaya Charanaravinda Prabhu, we do not think it is appropriate to give the name of Guru Maharaj to him. So there was a meeting held, and this discussion was made, and Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj said, well, actually the title Bhakti Vedanta is synonymous to Bhakti Siddhanta. So we will not do the offense of diminishing the glories. We will not do the offense of giving a lower title to, at the time, Abhaya Charanaravinda Prabhu. But we will also be able to avoid this issue of etiquette of giving him the name of our spiritual master. So therefore, this solution was made. Therefore, so as to not offend Srila Prabhupada, but also so as to maintain this. And this is how the title Bhakti Vedanta was given. Srila Prabhupada actually had the title Bhakti Vedanta before taking sannyas. As a Vanaprastha, he would have the title Bhakti Vedanta. So actually, and after this, Srila Prabhupada's sannyas guru, actually you'll still see many sannyasis outside of ISKCON have the title Bhakti Vedanta, because he was so inspired. He thought this is such a sweet title that has been given. He gave it to all of his other sannyas disciples. So there's a whole series of sannyasis who have given the title Bhakti Vedanta, but our Srila Prabhupada was the first to have this wonderful title. So Bhakti Vedanta is a great title of his that was given independently of his sannyas, but was also given again at his sannyas. But Swami is his sannyas name. Anyways, it's a bit of a tangent, but I think it's an interesting historical point, and I brought it up in the context of, so Srila Prabhupada, before he would sign his name with the standard, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we would see early figureheads would say Tridandi Goswami A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, because Srila Prabhupada wrote this in a letter to, I think, Dayaram Das, but I could be incorrect, saying actually it would be awkward to write my name. The standard etiquette is to write Swami, then my title, and then my sannyas name. But to write Swami Bhaktivedanta Swami is a little awkward. So maybe you can write, maybe we should write Tridandi Goswami. Goswami is a similar title as Swami, and Tridandi is specifying that I'm of the Vaishnava order. Because Vaishnava sannyasis, they take Tridandi sannyas. And the Tridandi, as we know, and this is again coming back to my point about how this material world is to be enjoyed, but it is to be enjoyed by Krishna. The Tridandi, three means three, and Dandi means sticks. So there are 3 sticks, and they represent Kaya, Mana, and Vacha, the body, mind, and words, which are to be given in service to the Supreme Lord. Tradition has that Vishnu Swami added the 4th, the smaller danda at the top, which represents the jiva. So then there is nothing left. Everything is being given and offered to the Supreme Lord. All these things are given. So Tridandi sannyas, and the true essence of sannyas is found in this principle, that this material world is for the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord should enjoy it. Everything here is actually for enjoyment, and if we do those things, then the material world itself loses its pains, it loses its pangs. Because when it is utilized properly, when it is no longer incorrectly utilized, as it is done by the many conditioned souls who wish to lord it over existence, then there is some joy, because then it becomes spiritualized. Then it becomes utilized, and it begins to have the spiritual qualities. We know in the Nectar of Instruction it's mentioned that giving gifts and taking gifts is the sign of the priti lakshanam, the exchanges of love. But one way to understand this text is that the giving of gifts, we should give new things, and we should receive prasadam. This is the giving and taking of gifts is such a wonderful expression of devotion, because this is, or of love to the devotees, and such an essential one, because when we give new things to the advanced devotees and then they give them back to us as remnants, we are receiving their mercy and they have been spiritualized. No longer is this item being used for our own joy. No longer are we seeing a new thing and trying to use it for our own pleasure and therefore suffering so much because of it, but we are giving it to a devotee who can utilize it in Krishna's service, and therefore when we receive it as remnants, it can be a source of joy, because it is again prasad. Not prasad, of course, in the eating sense, which is the latter 2 elements of the priti lakshanam, but in the prasad in the broader sense, maybe clothes or japamalas, so on and so forth. So the Supreme Lord enjoys the material universe, and the only way that we can enjoy it is if we acknowledge this and if we give it up. And we know the central process for that is yajna. That is why and the greatest yajna, by which we can offer everything in service to Krishna, the greatest way in this Kali Yuga that we can acknowledge this proprietorship of Krishna over all the material world, of his ability to enjoy it all, is to offer it all in the Sankirtan Yajna. The Sankirtan Yajna is such a great fire, and by it all things can be purified. We can offer so many things, our words in preaching, our voices in singing, our hands in cooking and cleaning, all these things in order to help propagate the Sankirtan Yajna. In this great grand movement, this Yajna we are able to offer even the whole world in its sacrificial fires. So it is in this, then, that the status of Krishna as a supreme enjoyer of the material world, and therefore we may, in a sense, enjoy the material world by abstaining from its enjoyment, not in the way. The impersonalist goes halfway. They say, this world is not for my enjoyment. But their path cannot be satisfactory because they do not come to the greater conclusion, which is this world is not for my enjoyment, but I must turn it over for the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. Because then joy may be tasted. This joy which is tasted by the devotees is tasted because they understand this true purpose of all things. Everything makes sense. It is all lined up perfectly. So that there is the principle. And of course, this principle cannot be understood. It will always be seen as a myth, because it is beyond, it is reached not. The material world becomes, in a sense, spiritualized when it is done like this. Because that whole principle of giving oneself in devotion, that is defining of the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm is defined by service to Krishna and his pastimes. We see mentioned here that famous text, light is not necessary in the spiritual realm. And yet one may wonder, there are descriptions of the moon in Golok Vrindavan. There are descriptions of it. Why is it there? We are hearing here that sunlight or moonlight or electricity for illumination, there is no need for any illumination. Why then is that there? Because it is there actually for the same reason anything else is. The moonlight is there because how else could the Rasa Leela be performed? How else could the other pastimes at night be performed without the beautiful moon to decorate them? Well, how else could the wonderful pastimes in day be performed without the beauty of the sun in Vraj? They are there not because they are needed for effulgence, but because they are needed there for Krishna's Leela, for Krishna's pleasure. This is the defining element of the spiritual realm. And therefore, when the material world is dovetailed in the utilization for Krishna's pleasure, it is in a sense spiritualized. So, because of that, then it becomes a taste almost, in a sense, if properly done, of spiritual joy in this material world. And therefore, it is by category unreachable by any of these material considerations that Srila Prabhupada mentions here. Even if we are to manufacture some machine whose speed may be accelerated to the speed of wind or mind, no matter how fast, even if they were to go faster than the mind, even if they were to go impossibly fast, even if they were to go twice as fast as the mind, the mundaners will be unable to even imagine reaching the planets in the spiritual sky. And that is the main issue. The main issue is actually that they are unable to imagine it. Because they are unable to imagine a domain in which service to someone else is the greatest joy. The pleasure of the center, the pleasure of someone else is the greatest joy and pleasure of someone else. Their lack of imagination, their lack of understanding, that is the actual fault by which they will never be able to complete an endeavor to reach this plane. They are faulted by their mindset, they are faulted by their greed, and they're faulted by their strong desire to lord it over material nature. Their lack of ability to comprehend such a domain is done because of their lack of ability to comprehend true, genuine giving in devotion. Until they can understand this, they will never be able to reach it. No material endeavor can reach the spiritual realm because the material endeavor is directly contradictory to the spiritual realm's existence. That is why it is demanded a complete perfection. We cannot be imperfect. Srila Prabhupada would demand such high levels of perfection because perfection ultimately is a perfection in our desires to serve Krishna. That is what allows us to enter into the spiritual realm. Why? Because again, the material desire, the material conception is so contradictory to that realm. It is not a lack even of the limitations of the material world. Even if the material world, in a sense, had the ability to be unlimited and did not have its limited temporary nature, still they could not reach it. Because the actual mindset of material, of the baddha jiva, of the conditioned soul, is so contradictory to those of the nitya, kripa and sadhana siddhas, of the perfected souls who are understanding that surrender of all pleasure to Krishna. And that surrender is most perfectly embodied. Actually, I've gone over time. I'll save that for another time then. So in order to reach that realm which is so beautiful, which is so much more beautiful than the realm we are in, that dham, even though Krishna does enjoy that material world, he enjoys yet his own abode in the spiritual sky. And in order to enjoy that realm so fully, and what is that enjoyment? That enjoyment is our service to that Lord, whose central point is enjoying that realm. In order to do so, we should dovetail away any desires we have to enjoy this world and properly then experience some joy in it by offering it in the Sankirtan Yagya to Krishna himself. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.